fate is before you. Choose wisely.
Look for Sleepy Floyd. Look. Oh, he threw it to the wrong man. He threw it to Worthy. It's over. It's over. He's fouled by Eric Smith. Fred Brown somehow or another threw the ball into the hands of James Worthy. Look at. Now there's where they could have used the timeout. And Georgetown loses it. North Carolina has won the 1982 NCAA championship.
Hey, hard work pays off.
Like I work in finance. God bless, no, it's not by chance. Don't dab me, you're not my man. Don't at me, you're not my man. Mama said don't buy it if you cannot buy it twice. I cop by the tools and I don't pump fake with the price. Always on the grind, I put in work with all my might. I know that he got me, not by sight. Yeah, 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 yeah. I skirt like vanish, I slide out landings, beat up Benji, all black like Batman. Sit 4 days, that's for sure though. Grinding from the grip, no shame, take a photo. Time to take a trip, we head north to the border. Say you feeling up, I'm my favorite type of hoarder. I got kids to feed, I got enemies, I got God's gift, so they envy me. Got some friends out Memphis like I'm Aubrey. Got some friends fought for orange like some autumn leaves. Yeah, 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 yeah. I skirt like vanish, I slide out landings, beat up Benji, all black like Batman. Yeah, 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 yeah. I skirt like vanish, I slide out landings, beat up Benji, all black like Batman. 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 Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Yeah, yeah. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my ass. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Watch out for those who surround you, need no funny kind. You can't see what's on my brain, I live inside my mind. Out of space and out of sight, you need me in my line. Need no face, don't need no phonies, no, no, no. Need no snakes, no only homies down for show. On go, go, go. Get a book and get the front and we load up and roll, roll, roll. I got kids, yeah, I got staff, I make a little need more, more, more. I sell records, you sell packs, not on my level, no, no, no. I'm a pop star, I'm a rock star, I'm a winner. Think I'm not hard, you smoke rock, car waste, man, why you dumb? I'm with airline, we on airlines like we on the run. I'm with Tay, girls run up on me, they done. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Yeah, yeah, why check Castro, yeah, I need my ass. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why
Ma jolie, oh ma jolie. Ah yeah, eh. Every time I come around you, baby girl, something doesn't feel the same. You said that I'm changing, but it's really you. I see how you play those games. Wifey type for a maid man. A queen can make moves, a king can. Snatch you up, now you taking. Gave you bricks, now you building a wall up, wall up. Lately you and I been all love, all love. I don't know what's up with our love, our love. You forgetting all about us, oh. My jolie, oh my jolie, where are you when I need you the most? You still.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at kosherclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well. We're going to jump right into it. And on tomorrow, gents, we're going to have one of the greatest games in NCAA history, as the North Carolina Tar Heels will be facing off with the Duke Blue Devils, and what some would say is the greatest rivalry, or it is the greatest rivalry in sports. You know, and I decided to do this show, guys, because you might say, well, what does this show have to do with mental health? Well, it has everything to do with mental health, because there's a psychology behind winning. There is a succinct psychology associated with winning. A man that plans to fail, plans to fail. And it appears that because many of our young men have not had strong communities or masculine fathers, many of our young men are in the throes of society where they are more or less falling by the wayside. And so we're going to talk about a very powerful show in the day, because my UNC Tar Heels will be facing off against the Duke Blue Devils. Once again, one of the greatest rivalries in history, as the UNC Tar Heels will be facing off against Duke, and what some will argue is the best rivalry of all times. But we'll talk about the psychology of winning. I'm going to have my special guest, the Ingram Experience, on my show. And we're going to talk about the patterns to winning, what he went through when he played Division I basketball, and the challenges that exist as it relates to young men and young boys now. Who is encouraging our young boys to greatness? Because our young men have a championship inside of them, but their development has been arrested because, you know, they don't have families. The communities are no longer intact as they were in the past. And we live in what's called a ribbon generation, a generation that give men rewards without making them earn it. Men, guys, are at their best when they put in the work to become the best versions of themselves. I'm a witness to it because I went through it. I became a better version of myself when I put in the work. But so many young men have a schema that has been more or less impacted or inflicted by mothers, by communities, and by all. But we're going to talk about, is there a psychology behind winning? And we're going to look at how Coach Hubert Davis and the UNC Tar Heels overcame adversity to be in one of the most heralded games of all times. Joining me is what I call the Sandman. Joining me is the Sandman. I call him Hurricane Ingram. Unmute yourself, dog.
Salute, Coach. You always get that one off, man.
Damn, Sandman. Them miles be going 1,000 miles per hour, man. Sandman.
It's all good, though, man. It's all in good fun, man. How's everything going tonight, man?
Man, it's going good, man. And so we're going to talk about Ingram. The UNC Tar Heels, they rose to the challenge to where they're going to be facing off with the Duke Blue Devils on tomorrow. And what some will argue is the biggest game in modern times. What's your take on this game? But also, what does it mean to you about the art and the science of winning? What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, obviously, talking about the game, this is one of the biggest games in history because this is Mike Krzyzewski's last run. And obviously, this is a blast from the past. North Carolina has been to so many championship games in this history. I know it hurts me to say that, but, I have to give the Tar Heels their props. But in terms of what it means, especially with Hubert Davis, a lot of issues and a lot of conversations has been about the success of a lot of the brothers taking over these head coaching jobs at the Division I level. And are we able to lead these teams to the championship level, to the winning level, to the NCAA tournament, and possibly win these championships? Because what happens a lot of times behind the scenes is that we have a lot of brothers that play the game, a lot of brothers that get the assistant coaches roles, but we never really get the opportunity to get passed over, and so on and so forth. So this has a different meaning. Hubert Davis, who played there, he's an alum there. He's part of these winning teams. And finally, he gets the chance to lead these young men. That's huge, to be honest with you. Right. That's real huge.
Right. I want to ask you a question. Is winning part of masculinity in your opinion?
Absolutely.
Is winning part of masculinity? And if it is part of masculinity, tell me why.
Well, the whole idea is that at the end of the day, you want to be a champion. The whole idea of it's part of building character because you want to be a winner. And that's why this whole notion of the participation trophy is just fallacy. Giving people a trophy, it has to do with hard work, and hard work as it produces results, and that's a part of masculinity because in hard work and the rewards of hard work builds character, which is necessary to build your masculinity. Right.
In your mind, what does winning mean to you? When you think about the power of winning and the impact of this game, what does winning mean to Mr. Ingram? What does it mean to you?
Well, everybody wants to be a champion. You want to be success. Men are naturally competitive by nature. It's about climbing that mountain in life. It's about achieving that goal. It's about seeing the payout from all of your hard work and effort over the years. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into being an athlete. Being an athlete is a full-time job. That's what a lot of the kids don't realize. You have to train. You have to train when you don't feel good. You have to get up and do things you don't want to do. You might have to forego that forego that fun activity and put in the work. Because, you're not going to get any results unless you're seriously dedicated to putting in the work. You may have to get in the gym, whether you're playing football or basketball, lift weights when everybody's having fun. You might have to put up that 500 jump shots every day, even when you don't feel like it. So
right. No, I totally agree, man. I got a couple of notes that I've written down, man. I want you to compare the athletic life, the athletes of today compared to the athletes of the past. And what do you see as a succinct difference in these current modern athletes versus when you played collegiate sports?
Back then, I think what happens is that parental involvement would probably be the biggest difference. Back then, our parents were just happy that you were getting a scholarship to go to college. They were like, "Oh, you're going to college." They don't really, they didn't look at it, the business side of it, the business side of sports. And what happens now is you have parents that I think tend to be overbearing a little bit now, and more so babying and pampering the young men a little bit too much nowadays.
Right.
Yeah, they ride coaches and try to, sometimes even to an extent they try and manufacture success. And you can't want it more than the kid wants it. They
Right.
got to want it more than you to be successful. And sometimes you see parents with these kids, they have 2 left feet. They don't have any speed. They don't have any ability. They don't have any. You look at the kid, be like, look, they don't want to hear really the truth. Everybody was not meant for this lifestyle. So I think the biggest thing for that lifestyle, I think the biggest thing is nowadays, it's just that everybody's just pampered a little bit more than it was back then. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Definitely more pampered than they were in the past. And I think it's caused a lot of issues, not only in society, but also with life. Why are young men not prepared to be winners? Why is the psychology of so many young men been arrested? And why aren't they prepared to be winners, in your opinion?
Well, it has a lot to do with how we have designed this. Masculinity is competitive. It's just natural. It's just human nature. You see in nature, the animals compete to mate, they compete for food, and so on and so forth. But ever since we've gotten to this participation trophy society, especially you see it with the Boys and Girls Clubs and all around, with kids are just getting participation awards just for showing up. But being competitive, it's about being a man, being masculine. You have to compete. That's a part of survival, in my opinion. We cannot just automatically manufacture success, and everybody is not deserving of the fruits of victory. And I think learning how to be competitive at a younger age and putting in the work helps develop you into the man that you need to be.
Right. Who or what, in your opinion, created this ribbon culture? Who or what, in your opinion, created the ribbon culture? Who created this so-called ribbon culture that we have today, in your opinion?
I think it started with a whole lot of different perspectives. First thing it has to do with we've had so many years where people have attacked masculinity, and they've considered things that boys. We saw it with when they started cutting back on the lunchtime in schools, have boys not take part in PE, and not understanding the fundamental difference between boys and girls. And I think you can go back 50, 60 years ago when they started really framing masculinity as being toxic, boys being over competitively, roughhousing, playing dodgeball, lunch break, and whatever else. We started cutting back on that because the mentality was that, we need to reduce this type of masculinity is creating problems in society. And that's the whole notion of this patriarchy and toxic masculinity, these ideas that came about during the feminist, indoctrination period when we started really getting heavy into feminism.
Right. It appears that you are a winner. I got 2 sons, one that plays collegiate basketball. You got your Chase woman when you got married originally, and you played for one of the best schools in the country. What was the winning formula for Roger Ingram getting the outcomes that you want? Because you traversed through a lot of things, but tell me what was the key ingredient for you winning as a young man? Because once again, you got a Chase wife when you were born, you got married, you got 2 boys, and you raised your boys to be solid, strong men. But what was the key for you to win coming from overseas or from Nassau, Bahamas? I'll
be honest with you, I've always had hard coaches, old school coaches, especially the old school brothers. Some of my coaches were kind of like the resemblance of like John Chaney type guys, where they held you quite a bit accountable, forced you to put in the work. But, excuse me, I've always had the ability to have good mentors, masculine mentors that kept me on the right pathway. But I also wanted to do better than, obviously take advantage of the opportunity and do better than the generation that was before me and take advantage of the opportunities that were there. So me growing up in a more challenging situation for myself, I just didn't want to continue on that way. I wanted to do better. I want my kids to be raised in a different situation. I wanted to have a better, stronger family structure. But what I did was I always had sports kept me around a lot of positive male influence, and that kept me on the right track. So, and then I had to put in the work. That's really what it came down to, putting in the work after that.
Right. Would you argue that? And shout out to my man. Shout out to Duke Camps.
Who's that?
We ain't gonna be on the stream long. They don't want to hear about no basketball. But shout out to my man Top Gun for that $5 super sticker. He said that Dean Smith is somewhere viciously brilliant at Coach K final game. You funny. And shout out to Miss Parker. Miss Parker said, "Does hard work equal success?" I asked because I know some people that work hard every day and still aren't as successful as they would like to be. Well, it depends on how you measure success. Is success measured in the quantity of money, or success measured in your work ethic? It just depends on how you look at it, you know. But anyway, what's your take on that real quick?
Well, hard work, you know, equals success. If you obviously, hard work puts you in the position to be successful. You can't just get, you know, nothing is just given like that. You have to put in the time. If you're talking about sports and athletics, you have to put in the work. If you're talking about business, you're talking about anything that's worth having is going to take work. I mean, if it comes too easy, then you got to always wonder whether it's real or not. You know, I mean, you know, there's nothing that you want that doesn't require a bit of effort and hard work. Granted, you need knowledge, you need training, you need obviously you need good advice, but that hard work does matter, you know.
Mm-hmm. It does matter, and I think it matters even more so now. I think when boys have strong men and strong families and strong communities, they become the better versions of themselves. But we don't see the vibrancy of the past like we used to have. We don't see the communities of yesterday, and it's going to have a peril of great pain if we continue down the trajectory that we're continuing. Let's talk about your time, Ingram, back in Nassau, Bahamas. What was it like growing up in the Bahamas? You know, did you face any abject poverty or some poverty? And how did you overcome those hurdles to go from JUCO to playing on Seton Hall, averaging about 10 points a game?
Well, I grew up in one of those areas that I would consider a challenge. Obviously, I grew up in abject poverty, but the reality is what happened with me, fortunately for me, I hit one of those growth spurts that came about 1 year. You know, I went from maybe 5'9" or 5'10" to 6'6" in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
So that happened. That just took over all my brothers. So what happened was inevitably, you know, just playing street ball and playing in the leagues and playing the local leagues. I think that they once again end up with coaches. And once I started showing promise and the development part started getting better, you know, that opened up a lot of opportunities in terms of putting me in good situation around positive people that allowed me to get the opportunities to go to school over here. You know, but that itself transitioned into the better opportunities. I started getting better, more developed, you know, got on the weights, got on the training program here. And, you know, obviously I ended up out in the middle of the Midwest, Oklahoma. So there's nothing out there to do but train. So you're going to get good.
Right.
You know, you got to take advantage of that opportunity. So, and you know, from there, you know, that's when opportunities started really opening up. When I put more time into development, got around the right coaches, and the opportunities just flourished, you know.
No doubt. Definitely, man. I totally get it, and I totally understand it. You know, I'm going to show the people a clip of what I went through to win. You know, I grew up in rural eastern part of North Carolina. Grew up in a 2-parent intact home, but, you know, life wasn't always easy. Working class family, dad was the primary breadwinner. But, you know, I worked hard, Ingram, to come where and who I am today. And so, unlike so many young people today, they don't fight through adversity. As part of it is not their fault. Technology plays a role. Lack of community plays a role, and also bad parenting. But some of it, you know, they would say, you know, this generation is just lazy. But it's not all their fault, but they do play a role in their own demise. But I'm going to show a clip, Ingram, of me in my younger days, man, and how I went through the maze. And We're going to laugh at you too.
Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now. I get paid, vacay, staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign. I don't need bad energy around me. I just need sun, you're so cloudy. I wake up good, you're so grouchy. Please get from around me. When the truth don't work, you start telling lies. Thought you were down to ride, you weren't down to ride. Caught switching, you were picking sides. Don't blink, caught slipping like a slip and slide. I was shooting dice till I got a nosebleed. Money on the floor, can't get cold feet. Took a L, should've put it in the offering. Lord, forgive me for my sins, don't know of me. Scary thoughts, I got scary thoughts. Lost control, now I'm taking charge. Breaking bills, friends breaking off. You could be the youngest, I'm the dawn. Kiss the ring now.
All right, so Ingram, hold tight. This was my first degree. I went to community college, got my first degree in law enforcement. That was my first degree. Went to school full-time, worked full-time, went to school and did the thing. But before I talk in the fun, let me shout out to the Chocolate Smurf. Shout out to my dear friend, Susan. Ms. Parker back to basics for that $10 super sticker. Thank you, dear. She said that. I'm paying dues. Thankful perspective and insight. My favorite YouTube channel and content creator. Peace and blessings. Thank you, Ms. Parker. You know I love you, dear. I was worried about you the other night, but I love you, sweetie. You're a good woman. And this ain't gonna be a long stream because folks don't like stuff about positivity, man.
Folks over there talking about Will Smith, man. Guapo have all the folks right now. There's about 2,000 of them over with Guapos right now.
Right. I'm ready to check Guapo out. But this was the first degree. Shout out to Guapo. That's my homie. But shout out to Guapo. This was the first school. Got my first degree in law enforcement. That was the first one.
Remember those days, those
very challenging and taxing. Working and going to school full-time.
You could be my peace sign. I don't need that energy around me. I just need.
So this is North Carolina Central. I taught school for 5 years. Here I got my bachelor's in social work. You see me repping the chords. I'm an Eagle, went to North Carolina Central University. I got my bachelor's in social work, general social work. Went back to Central and got my license in special education. So I taught school for 5 years. But Ingram, I knew that in order to win long term and to advocate for men and boys, I had to take it to another level. And that's why I said over and over again, Ingram, I'm not one of those avatars. I'm real. Some folks hide behind avatars on YouTube, but I'm the real deal. I'm the real deal. And I did it, Ingram, because I knew back in 2008 that there was a need to empower our boys and men, because many times black boys and black men are not empowered to the level they need to be empowered. So I went back to school, got my bachelor's, my bachelor's from Central, but also worked full-time, took care of a family full-time, and went to school and graduated with honors, as you can see. What is it with young men now that they don't fight through adversity? We're not going to say all 100%, but larger than most. Why don't they fight through adversity, in your opinion?
I think it has more to do with the households. Obviously, we have like 75, 80% of the households that are not being led by men. So we don't have that masculine leadership in the community that maybe we had a little bit more of back then. But the biggest issue is, if you hang around women quite a bit, if boys are not involved in sports, they're not involved in activity, and they're not getting that masculinity at home, they don't learn how to control that male emotion. And I'm saying, our masculinity is very controlled. And that's what I find, you see more with these boys that are very emotional. You take an emotional man and you add testosterone with it, you're going to have a lot of explosive issues with temperament and anger and fighting and being out of control. Whereas opposed to we have our boys and we discipline them a certain type of way, we hold them accountable, and that translates into them being adults and being able to control themselves and not being emotional. Like we saw the other night at the Oscars. It's pure emotion.
Right. I totally agree, and it's unfortunate, man. It's very much unfortunate, and we're gonna talk about you.
Sun, you're so cloudy.
Hold tight. So this was the pinnacle of glory, where I did go to UNC Chapel Hill. Tar Heel, man. Tar Heel bound, man. That was the greatest defining moment in my life. And, I never thought in a million years, Ingram, that I would be able to go to one of the best schools in the country. I worked hard. Of course, I didn't kill it on the, GRE and all that stuff, but I did go. I got it. I put in the work, and I got, to Carolina. And always wanted to go to Central. I went. Always wanted to go to Carolina. I went. Anything I put my hands to, I did it, man. And, it was for the benefit of my mind and my psyche. And, and I decided to do this show, man, as a form of empowerment to our young men, to the young men that are listening, and also to the older men, but mostly to the young men. You can do and achieve anything that you want when you hold yourself high, hold your head high, work hard, work through your adversity. You can be the best of the best. But I did this, Ingram, because, like I said, there, sad that we got some charlatans in these spaces. And I want people to know that I'm real, that I am a licensed therapist. I'm not faking. I'm real. I'm licensed. And it was hard. It was hard going through this maze called life. Hold tight. Let me shout out to my man, and shout out to my man, Tim Howard. Shout out to Top Gun for that $5 super sticker. Top Gun, shout out to that brother. He said that, what are both of your views on the current state of sports, specific to AAU? I'll let Ingram take that in a minute. Hold tight, Top Gun. And Gregory Scotland said, Coach, I saw a great degree of emotion from the individual that you had a conversation with on Anton's channel. Yeah, I did. Yeah, man, yeah. He brought out the inner lion, man. He brought out that fire, man. Fire. But that's not who I am. But don't take me there, because I can have I got a strong personality, man. And he took me there. But we chopped it up on the end, and we say all is good, man. Shout out to Elisa Dollar Rosario too. All right.
Truth don't work, you start telling lies. Thought you were down the ride, you weren't down the ride. Caught switching, you were picking sides. Don't blink, caught slipping like a slip and slide.
All right, that's you, Ingram. That's you doing it up at Seton Hall. You see my man Ingram getting it in at Seton Hall University. Ingram, tell us about that game, man. You were a beast. Tell me about that game, man, and what it meant to you, man, playing ball for Seton Hall, man.
Well, I think that game we had like a blowout or something, man. We ran through, I think, Rhode Island or one of those small teams, but that was me on a steal on a fast break and just took it home. So I think that was my junior year. I can't remember, junior year at Seton Hall. That was back in '94, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Back then.
Right,
so.
Right. Yeah, man. You look cut too, man. You like you were getting it in, though. That's when man Ingram viciously and vigorously pounding the boards.
Shoot, I can't touch your rim now.
Till I got a nosebleed. Money on the floor, can't get cold feet. Took an L, should've put it in the all free.
All right, that's the last one. Playing ball from Seton Hall. And see, people don't understand. We got some horses in the house, man. I played ball. I didn't play college ball. Had a chance to play, but I never did it. But man, you posterize somebody. I don't know who it is.
Oh, that's
go ahead.
That's the game. I think we played Providence. That's Providence.
Mm-hmm.
I think Troy Brown said, yeah, we played Providence at home. Yeah, that's Providence at home. That was a '96. Yeah.
Shout out to Cortez.
He jumped too late. That's all. He jumped too late.
Viciously breaking the rim. Y'all know Ingram used to get it in college, man. That's where you get that vicious and vigorous pounding from.
It's so funny too, man. Like I walk and look at these rims, Coach. I'm like, I used to jump on that rim. I was like, man, I can't touch that rim no more, man. It's like crazy, man. Youth is wasted on the young, man. Shoot.
Right.
We'd love to get above that rim. But to answer Top Gun's question, what do you ask the questions? What are both of your views on current state of sports, especially AAU? What do you think, Coach? I don't know.
I don't know enough about AAU like it used to be. I think a lot of times, man, they don't want to put in the work. They think it's all about hot dogging and dunking and they're not learning the fundamentals. And I think not learning the fundamentals has been a great state of disrepair for a lot of these young men. They don't want to put in the work, and not putting in the work, man, it's not going to help them long term, man. In my opinion, it's not going to help them.
Hey, Top Gun is funny. Well, the biggest thing with AAU is that here's the problem with a lot of kids have with AAU, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gets good sitting on the bench.
Right.
And the reality of life is what happens now with AAU, the money is came into it, the sneaker company with the Under Armour, with Nike, Adidas Gauntlet, and all these other paid programs that get a certain amount of donation from the sneaker companies. They have their own circuits, okay? So in the summertime right now, you're probably going to have, next week or so, you're going to have Nike EYBL, you're going to have Under Armour, and you're going to have Adidas Gauntlet go off, and they're going to all have teams, sponsored teams. The problem is there's other AAU teams that are other programs. They don't get exactly the same amount of funding, but you can still get notice on these programs. And then you have the high school right now. So you have so many different competing forces for exposure. Obviously, the NCAA has certain live periods where kids can be evaluated for opportunity. And that's green marked on the calendar. The issue that I see now is that everybody wants to be on these sneaker teams.
Right.
The problem with that is if you're not a part of the first 7-8 persons off the bench, Kosher, you know the deal. You're not getting any minutes. You're not getting any exposure.
Right.
And then that defeats the purpose because, you're trying to get it. You're trying to get it in, right? And you're not getting the amount of work you're supposed to be getting. Now you're sitting pine. You're not getting the exposure. And you'd be better off playing on your local team at some of the local events. Up in this area, you have Hoop Group. You have a bunch of tournaments in the North Carolina, D.C. area and throughout the nation. Because exposure, what happens is everybody think they're supposed to be playing at UNC and Duke or Seton Hall. But whether you're playing D1, D2, D3, NAIA, if somebody's paying for your education, you're winning. So
right, that's true.
Problem,
no, I totally agree. I'm gonna ask you another question, man. We ain't gonna be on the stream long, but this is commemoration to the game on tomorrow. Why is Duke Carolina the greatest rivalry in your mind? And are old school coaches like Coach K and Dean Smith and Bobby Knight and Roy Williams a thing of the past?
You went silent for a little bit, Kosher.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Right. I said, why is Duke Carolina, Duke and Carolina such a great rivalry in your opinion? And then after that, are old school coaches like Coach K, Dean Smith, and Bobby Knight and Roy Williams a thing of the past?
The last question, let me ask you first. I think they're a thing of the past because newer generation, it takes a newer type of coach, and you have to deal with a different type of kid, especially with the transfer portal, with football, basketball. Everybody's right now. You could have almost half a new team or more every year because kids right now, if they're not getting the minutes they want, they're not getting the exposure they want, they're going to transfer. So you need a new breed of coach to deal with a new type of kid. Mm-hmm. Secondly, everybody, North Carolina, Duke, that's the epitome of college basketball. Blue Bloods, North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, that's Kentucky. I mean, that's college basketball. That's the epitome of college basketball. That's the pinnacle right there.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that game's going to be exciting. Go ahead.
Right. Our coaches like Roy Williams, Coach K, Dean Smith, and Bobby Knight, are coaches like them a thing of the past, in your opinion, meaning their style and tenacity?
Yeah. A lot of these kids can't handle being coached by those kids. I mean, those guys. In terms of how they come at kids, today's kids would probably snap or break under, maybe more so the Bobby Knight type coach, maybe the Gene Katie type coach. It's a different type of kid. You have to be a little more understanding, open-minded, dealing with these type of kids because a lot of them don't have the background or even the discipline or the strength that we had of the past to deal with the yelling and the screaming and so on and so forth. They can't handle it.
Right. What are the pros and the cons of an old school coach? You're not from the old school. What are the pros and the cons of an old school coach in your opinion?
The pros of the old school coaches are, I think, the factor is that a lot of those guys came with a lot of different. They have certain principles and rules, a code that they live by. For instance, if you step out of line, they were better at holding guys in line. That is that you can't really get on a Bobby Knight's or let's say John Thompson. Okay. They were more into building men. Now basketball is more of a business, and the turnover rate is a little higher. So the development of men were better with the old school coaches than it is now. Now it's just moving bodies, getting kids in, getting kids out. And I think they care less now about the development of young men that they did back then, you know?
Right. What role does father's absence play in the lack of development of so many of these athletes? Many coaches feel now, Ingram, that they can't coach a lot of these young boys. Now they're uncoachable, many quit when things get tough. I think part of it is devoid of having masculinity. A lot of these boys have had to be the men in their homes, and some of these boys are son husbands. But what's your take on the pros and the cons? What do you think the roles of absent fathers and single mothers has played on the development of these young boys, and also their ability to cooperate in academia, but also in collegiate sports?
Well, I think the factor is accountability. You have certain young men that come in through. There's a big difference when you have in terms of if they have a father in the home. You have kids that are more disciplined, easier to manage, and you're not dealing with the erratic things, the erratic emotionality, problems on campus, not being there's accountability. So one of the things with the coaches and how they recruit young men is that you're recruiting a family as well. So you don't really want to have kids. And that's one of the issues and one of the problems that they've had with Duke in the past, because everybody has the belief system that Duke you had to be like almost a cookie cutter, clean type guy. You look at Grant Hill and all those guys of the past, they came from two-parent households, two-parent families. Duke wouldn't recruit you unless you had that type of structure and family structure. But that has a lot to do with discipline, being coachable. And that's what's the biggest. So they didn't take a lot of kids from single-parent households because they felt that they were more erratic. Right. And they would create, how it is, no storms kosher. They'd be causing problems, turning up problems, smoking ganja, fighting.
Tay, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like tearing up the place. So even though they were talented kids, and that's why it was critical to get kids involved in sports so early, because if they don't have that masculine presence to teach them discipline, usually the coaches would step in and, hold them accountable. But, now that the money has gotten into AAU sports now is like, it's crazy now with the money.
Right. It is crazy. I totally agree. I totally agree. Everybody wanted to go to Carolina, being at 6'5", 6'6", I knew I was going to never go and play sports there, but I knew I had a chance as far as academics. Well, actually, I didn't think I was ever going to get a chance to go to Carolina academically because it's so hard to get into. It's an elite school. It's a blue blood school, Duke is blue blood. You got to be of the best to go to Carolina to Duke. But I did get in, and when I got in, I made the best of an opportunity. It was very weird and awkward because I was 40 years old, 41, when I went to Carolina. But I did it. And this show is a testament to the young men that are listening. And this stream won't be long because I got a powerful show for you guys tomorrow. Nothing don't happen with the Angry Man. And we're going to talk about the Beano, black in name only. But
that's funny, man.
but what do you remember about the power of that Carolina blue? Carolina was a place that was mystical to me. When I would hear Willie Durham, counting down with seconds left on the clock, Michael Jordan hitting that final shot against I think it was Michael Jordan, hitting the final shot against Georgetown to win the national championship. Dean Smith was mystical to me. I always saw him as like, I'm not gonna say like a deity to some degree. And what was your fascination about Carolina and Carolina blue, but also Duke University?
I mean, obviously, it kind of feels weird talking about other programs, man. We need to be beating on you guys right now. You know what I mean? Beating on North Carolina and Duke. You know what I'm saying? It's like weird, but when you're dealing with elite programs like that, I mean, you think about Michael Jordan, you think about the history of Carolina, you think about Duke, you think about all the wing teams from the 80s and 90s. I mean, you're talking about legendary college basketball coaches, legendary players from Sam Perkins to Michael Jordan. I mean, that's the pinnacle of college basketball. That's what every young man wanted to achieve back in the day. I mean, if you played against Duke or North Carolina, I mean, you wanted to beat those teams: Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas. You felt like you've made it if you've beaten those teams. I mean,
right. They're the creme de la creme. They're called the Blue Bloods, and
the Blue Bloods for a reason, brother.
Right, right. And some feel that this is going to be the greatest event probably of all sports. I think it's going to be the greatest event of all sports.
I think it's going to be epic too, because this is Krzyzewski's last year.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And Hubert Davis, first year, think about it. This is history as well, because first year, taking a coaching job, takes a team to the Final Four, when all the skeptics was thinking that Hubert was not going to make it. Because they always have these naysayers that think that certain players like Jawan Howard at Michigan, some of the brothers that play in the NBA or don't necessarily make good coaching. Because a lot of the inside job with a lot of coaches is a lot of these jobs are given to people with favors, people with family connection. The hookup is there, and a lot of brothers don't get a lot of opportunity, man.
Right. Right.
Like Lavelle Melton, what's his name? Melton at NC State, North Carolina Central. That's a really good brother, really good coach.
Lavelle Moulton.
Yeah. I thought he would get another job, another big opportunity. But a lot of these brothers, like, okay, I thought Tommy Emmerich might have gotten the Duke job. Or some of the other brothers.
He should have got the Duke job, yeah.
So we can have a lot of questions about maybe how these brothers are getting these jobs. I mean, I thought he would got the job,
And Tommy got more experience than I can't think of his name. John Shire that they're going to give it to. And he was hurt by it. He was really hurt by it.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen, but you know how that is with how it is with the inside job with these guys. These guys have, family members that have, put them in certain position. I ain't knocking that, but that's what a lot of people don't understand. You see guys get certain jobs and be like, you don't know that these guys have been set up to get certain jobs, from their family and connections and whatever else, and they take care of each other. You know what I mean? The brothers don't usually get that hookup with connect. That's why we have this problem right now in the NFL. So
right. Roy Williams has the most tournament wins, or Carolina had the most tournament wins in NCAA history over Duke. Carolina leads Duke, I believe, 114 to like 80 something. What role did Roy Williams play, or did you ever see Roy Williams as an icon growing up? Because Roy Williams was at Kansas when you were playing at Seton Hall, but what role did Roy Williams play on your psyche, and did you see him as an icon playing basketball when you were at Seton Hall?
I mean, you definitely saw him. When I was at Seton Hall, Roy was at Kansas, I believe. So I think was he at Kansas, or he just came over to North Carolina? But if you watch the old Big 8 basketball from back in the day, when it was the Big 8, it's the Big 12 now. But I mean, those guys were like you said, they were like iconic, man. Like you see Roy with, not even that, even back in the day, even guys like Billy Tubbs. You remember Billy Tubbs from OU? Like those old school coaches were just, when you saw them, they had a certain, thing about them, certain charisma about them. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was that like these were the pinnacle of basketball coaches. They were the guys that were, at the top of their game. And you wanted to be a part of Kansas. You wanted to be a part of these programs. And when Roy took the North Carolina job, obviously that's his history. He's more of a North Carolina guy, I believe. Roy went to North Carolina, right?
He went to Carolina. He was on the
so that was his dream job.
Staff. Right. He was on the staff with Roy Williams. with Dean Smith.
Yeah. So that was him coming home, to lead the Tar Heels. But like I said, these are iconic coaches, and you always want to play these teams. You always want to be in that arena. You want to feel that atmosphere, that crowd spirit. I mean, you go into these gyms, it's just crazy. The fanfare, the environment, the tradition, the history, the culture.
Right.
It's unmatched anywhere.
It is hard to match, and that's why I was so mesmerized when I went to Carolina, man. Because it's like you North Carolina's basketball heaven. It don't get no better than the state of North Carolina for basketball. You can't name a state that has some of the best college basketball, and I would say in the country is Duke and Carolina. It used to be Indiana back in the day. We're not used to. Indiana was part of it, but Carolina has definitely produced Hall of Fame coaches, and Roy Williams, Dean Smith, and it could be Hubert Davis. Coach K is one of the greatest of all times. What role what place of greatness would you place Coach K when it comes down to coaching in basketball?
I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, obviously. He's going to be in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I mean, one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time, had one of the best winning records of all time. So, I mean, only thing I say is that, obviously guys are getting out of this job. They get out here so old when they finally leave, let these jobs go. But he's going to be a Hall of Famer. His record at Duke, it's just, this guy took that job in the 80s, early 80s. He took over the Duke program after coming, I think, from Navy. And that's just coaching tenure. That's just excellence right there. So Coach K is going to be a Hall of Famer. Every time they play at Duke, he's going to be in the background, regardless of whether he's there or not. He's just put in so much work, and he's contributed so much to the game, but that program is just legendary. I mean, so is North Carolina. So, the Blue Bloods are, it's college basketball. And you see what's happening now, even with the Final Four. You got two of them in there. We got Kansas in there. You got North Carolina. You got Duke in there, three of them. And Villanova, I don't know if you can consider Villanova a Blue Blood. It's a really good program.
Right. It's a good program, right.
I know some of the kids and their parents on the Nova team, and some good kids. Played with my kid during the AAU, so I hope that they are able to pull off a victory and take out Kansas. So I'm hoping that they win that game.
Right. Who wins this game and why? Who wins this game and why? I know you and I are friends, man. You don't want to dump on my boys, man. But who wins this game and why? But before you tell me, let me. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Froze a little bit.
He said, 1982, while watching the championship game, my dad said that Jordan would be the best player. I remember it just like it was yesterday, right? I remember Jordan, James Worthy, Sam Perkins, and all, and some even got the greatest team of all time would be Jordan, Stackhouse, Wallace, Perkins, Carlos, and James. Yeah, man, they produce some talent, man. Carolina is definitely one of the, they got the most wins of any NCAA team ever. So, So I didn't know Michael Jordan was going to be the greatest, but he was special. And I fell in love with Carolina back in '82 when I was a little boy, man, on the playgrounds. I think I was in the 4th grade, man. And then that's when I fell in love with Carolina. When I saw that Carolina blue soda can, 1982 national championship, man, I fell in love with Carolina. And been a Carolina fan ever since. I fell in love with the football when they had Dick Crum. Dick Crum used to be the football coach for Carolina, where they had Ethan Horton and William Humes and a lot of those guys, man. And I've been a Carolina fan ever since, man. And, with the grace of God, man, I was able to go to UNC. But who wins this game and why? And because Duke has more pressure, in my opinion, to win. But who wins this game and tell me why? And we're going to end this stream at some point. But
unless you want to switch the stream and talk about Will Smith, then we'll be all right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Carolina. If they could control Boncaro, I think they could control the boards. If they could contain Duke and not allow them to just, hit Williams with those quick, get it up in the lane and make quick dishes to Williams for dunks, or control Boncaro on the perimeter. If they could contain him, I think Carolina has a really good chance of winning the game, because he can go off the dribble, he can pass, he can facilitate, he can knock down the three. So you have to limit his possessions and make sure that he, if they can contain him, keep him around maybe 12, 13 points, I think they're going to win the game. But it's just going to be the defense.
By how many? How about how many?
By how many? It's going to be a tight game. It's going down to the wire.
Right.
But it's just going to come down to how they defend him, because he's just tough. 6'10", handles the ball, passes like a guard. I don't know, Coach. You got that's a tough player, man.
That's gonna be a tough one, man. I think Duke got more talent overall, but I think that Carolina gets them about 4. And like I said, I think it's because of the emotion. It's more pressure on Duke than Carolina to win this game, and so If Carolina don't win, I'm gonna still be happy we got to the Final Four. But if we beat Duke tomorrow, we're gonna win that. We're gonna win the national championship, in my opinion. Because
if they can contain Boncaro, they win.
Right. If they can contain Boncaro, they win. Right. Because he was the number 2 player in the country coming out of college.
Yeah.
All right.
The other game with Kansas and Villanova, I don't know who's going to win that game. I'm going with Villanova. I'm a little biased. Villanova, the great thing about Villanova is Villanova doesn't play down to anybody. It's a machine. And if you don't beat Villanova, you're going to get your ass smoked out there.
Right. It's a machine. Right. And they got the less talent. You played against Villanova, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I play against Villanova. But they have that 4-out-1 in the offense. All those guys can shoot the 3. All those guys can take it off the dribble. Hard core perimeter defense. Kansas is going to have to hurt them on the inside. But unless they hurt Villanova going to the rim, unless they force Villanova to defend at the rim, because that's Villanova's weakness. You get past that perimeter, hardcore perimeter defense, and you get in that lane, they don't really have a shot blocker. They have a couple guys that are 6'8", 6'9". Eric Dixon is 6'8", but he's not a shot blocker. That's going to make the huge difference and you can't turn the ball over. You cannot turn the ball over like that against Villanova. They'll kill you. And that defense is tough. All their guys can shoot. All those guys can take it off the dribble. All those guys can pass the facility. Their guard went down injured, Justin Moore, so they're going to be down one guard. But they have a bunch of guards that they can put in there. But so for Carolina, I think the issue is controlling Boncaro for Duke, the game against Duke. For Kansas, you're just going to have to not turn that ball over. I mean, you're gonna, Villanova's going to kill you.
Yeah, I agree, man. I totally agree. They definitely going to kill it, man. They're going to kill it big time. So you talked about the players and the players' development, but I'm going to ask the chat, and a few in the house, but to the now that are watching, man.
I know where they at, Coach. You know what it is that it's so funny. I was thinking about something too, man. We having a nice wholesome topic about college basketball right now, right? And everybody's so saturated with the Will Smith stuff. I know where everybody's at. They over there checking out the Will Smith topic. Apparently, the Oscars took away their award from him, and obviously he's going to have
no.
More
they didn't take it away. I think it's more or less Guapo saying they may take it, but they haven't taken it. Not to my.
They didn't do it. I thought they did. My bad. It's not correct.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But,
yeah, I thought they took it away. But that's what everybody's. We're into the wholesome college basketball fever, March Madness, and of course Carolina going to the Final Four, taking on Duke.
Oh, actually, he did resign.
I know you.
He did resign from it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought that's what I thought. That's why where everybody's at.
Right.
But yeah, obviously, I'll be honest with you. If they get by Duke, I can see Carolina winning the championship.
Me too. I can see it also. If they get by past Duke, right? I can see it too, man.
And this will be history. Have we ever had a first-year coach win the championship?
I don't know.
So I got to type that up, Yeah, because if he gets by Duke, he's going to make history.
He's going to make history, right. And don't get no better than Carolina. I can't see him leaving Carolina to go anywhere else.
I'm surprised you're not down in New Orleans already, man.
I ain't got that kind of money. Yeah, Low and Thayer is right. You're right, Low and Thayer. He did resign, so. Yeah, he resigned.
He resigned. I mean, but that was bound to happen, man. Nobody's gonna put up with that slap, man. Come on, man. That was like the weakest thing I've ever seen, man. I'm still in disbelief, Coach, that he would actually do something like that, man.
Right. I am too, man. I am too, and it's sad. It's really sad that he allowed himself to define the moment in his life. But that goes back to what we talked about simping, man. Gravy train simping. That's what happens when you don't control your woman and you allow your woman to control him. Because if he had to control his ego, he would have been set. But sadly, he didn't allow it to happen. Sadly, so. Yeah,
that's unfortunate, man. And you think about it, like, I mean, If you look at all the recordings, you got her kid writing letters to Tupac, her crying about another dude, him sitting there expressing how he, feels a little bit threatened by the fact that she's in it. This guy could be like a king anywhere else in the world. And here he is, like on national TV, sympathizing with a woman who is talking about some unfaithful, treasonous stuff in the marriage, man. I think that's the most egregious thing ever, man.
No, I agree. I totally agree, man.
Yeah. So
I totally agree. I totally agree. We're going to end the stream in a minute. We could throw a basketball in here, hit everybody in here. But to the 11 that are watching, who wins the Duke Carolina game tomorrow? And so tell me why. Well, actually, I'm going to drop the link and we're going to talk for about 5 minutes. Or if somebody can just tell me why they think Carolina or Duke is going to win that game tomorrow. To the 11 that are watching, who's going to win that game tomorrow? To the 11 that are watching. And hopefully tomorrow, guys, we'll be going live at 8 o'clock. We will have the Angry Man on the channel. And we're going to be talking about the importance of community and power. But who do you guys see winning that game tomorrow? To the 12 that are watching, who wins that Carolina-Duke game on tomorrow? Ingram thinks that Carolina's going to squeeze it out. I got my fingers crossed, partially because I'm biased. I think it can go either way. I'm hoping that Carolina wins. If Carolina bring that A game, they're going to beat Duke. If Carolina get caught up in the moment, they're going to lose because Duke is very talented. But so who do you guys see as the winner? If those that think Carolina's going to win, hit 1. Those that think Duke will win, hit 2. Carolina win, hit 1. Duke win, hit 2. Carolina win, hit 1. If Carolina win, hit 1. Okay, the Ingram said 1. If Duke win, hit 2. Okay. Low end theory said the Heels. He said that Davis is the form of the big Duke, no doubt. Tell me why you think so, low end theory. But real quick, Carolina or Duke? I'm going to hit 1 and say UNC. I'm going to hit 1 and say UNC. I'm going to hit 1 and say UNC. He tries to be funny. Troy Top Gun said 1 because he said Davis is an SYSBM. You got a white wife. He being fun. All right. Anybody else?
Troy's funny, man.
Right. And I agree, Low in theory. RJ Davis got to have a perfect game. I totally agree. And Caleb Love got to be able to pick up the backside of the game too if they lose. Tim Howard said 1 because he's hoping for black men, no doubt. No doubt. Carolina has always come out on top when the guard plays better. I see. It seems like they're playing better under Hubert Davis. It seems like he's getting the best out of these guys. What's your take?
What's that?
I said, it seems like he's getting the best out of these guys. What's your take?
I think he has more of an NBA style coaching method with these guys, and I think they appreciate that a little bit more. I mean, you saw even with Arkansas when they beat Gonzaga, when they have more of an NBA style game, a lot of pick and roll, getting in that lane, dishing it to the guys, feeding the post, moving off that post, knocking down shots. So they have. I think they're going to give Duke a run for their money. The question becomes defensively. That's where it's going to be won. Shutting down Bunkaro, not letting their guards get into the lane. Their guards like AJ Griffin and the rest of those guys getting those easy buckets. If they can control those guys, that's going to make a huge difference.
Right. With Duke got a big front court, man. That front court's a little bigger than Carolina. But I think because, Brady Manick can stretch, he's a stretch power forward. I think that's going to cause problems because they can hit it from the perimeter. Shout out to Black Uru Speaks. He said that for that $5 super stick, he said that 1982 is the greatest Final Four ever. Jordan, Hakeem, Ewing, Worthy, Drexler, Perkins, Floyd. It ain't even close. That's a good point. I can see that. I didn't realize those heavy hitters was in that Final Four, but that's a good point. Black Uru Speaks. But when it come down to the magnitude of Duke Carolina playing in the Final Four, that's never happened. Well, it did happen, but they never played each other. So the greatest overall Final Four, I could probably say 82, but the greatest event of all times to hit the stage is going to be Duke Carolina. And I hope my Heels win. And you're right, Lou, in theory. Man, can't get into foul trouble. He can't get into foul trouble. All right, Ingram, final remarks, man. Final remarks, bro.
My final remarks. Here's my. I think I got UNC over Duke. I got Villanova taking Kansas, and I got UNC taking Villanova in the championship game. That's just me.
That my man.
And Coach didn't pay me any money. He didn't pay me any money for this. I've not been bribed or anything.
Right. And Ingram played college basketball, guys. So he's saying from his own merit. Hold tight. We're gonna play this little closing ending thing, man. We're gonna get out of here, man. Hold tight.
Seconds. Brown. Look for Sleepy Floyd. Look. Oh, he threw it to the wrong man. He threw it to Worthy. It's over. It's over. He's fouled by Eric Smith. Fred Brown somehow or another threw the ball into the hands of James Worthy. Look at. Now there's where they could have used the timeout. And Georgetown loses it. North Carolina has won the 1982 NCAA championship.
Hey, hard work pays off.
Right. So, guys, we're going to sign off. We're going to take it back to the past about the power of winning and masculinity. And the Ingram experience and I both agree that there is psychology to win it. This has been a short stream.
He said Jada won. He said, that's pretty good. Coach, you know Jada won, man.
Jada won. That's funny, Greg. That's funny, Greg and Scott, man. We're going to end it, man. But once again, this is a blast from the past with my man Ingram and I. I mean, when we were in college and how we had the winning mindset. And we signing off.
All right. Peace, brother.
Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now. I get paid, vacay, I'm staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign. I don't need bad energy around me. I just need sun, you're so cloudy. I wake up good, you're so grouchy. Please get from around me. When the truth don't work, you start telling lies. Thought you were down to ride, you weren't down to ride. Caught switching, you were picking sides. Don't blink, caught slipping like a slip and slide. I was shooting dice till I got a nosebleed. Money on the floor, can't get cold feet. Took an L, should've put it in the offering. Lord, forgive me for my sins, don't know of me. Scary thoughts, I got scary thoughts. Lost control, now I'm taking charge. Breaking bills, friends breaking off. You could be the youngest, I'm the dawn. Kiss the ring, nah. In the scene like GOT.